Shabbat Shalom, everyone, and welcome. It's really nice to see everyone here, and we have some guests, and everyone is welcome. So, we're starting with the song Hinema Tov U'Manaim, how wonderful it is to be together. And Debbie will lead us.
Hinema Tov U'Manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinema Tov U'Manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinema Tov, Hinema Tov, la 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 la. Hinema Tov, Hinema Tov, la 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 la. Hinema Tov U'Manaim, shevet achim gam yachad. Hinema Tov U'Manaim, shevet achim gam yachad.
We turn to page 117, and I would like Beth to come forward and light the candles for us. Bring your books, 117. Yeah, you're going to be reading. Who's forward?
Source of mercy, continue your loving care for us and our loved ones. Give us strength to walk in your presence on the paths of righteous, loyal to your Torah, steadfast in goodness.
Go on.
Keep far from us all shame, grief, anguish. Fill our homes with peace, light, and joy. O God, fountain of life, by your light do we see light.
So now we light the candles. Together, Baruch Atah Adonai
Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen. At the bottom together, please. May God bless us with Shabbat joy. May God bless us with Shabbat holiness. May God bless us with Shabbat peace. Amen. Thank you, Beth. Please be seated. We continue with the song Lechun Neranena on 118. It's from Psalm 95. It says, "Come, let us sing to the Lord."
Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Naria, naria, letzui shenu, nekad machanav betorah. Naria, naria, letzui shenu, nekad lo. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai. Lechu neranena, lechu neranena, lechu neranena l'Adonai.
122 in the middle. Adonai reigns, let the people shake with awe. He sits enthroned, and the earth trembles. Adonai exalted in Zion, high above all the peoples. Let them praise your name, great and awesome and holy. Together, your power, O sovereign, is your love of justice. You make righteousness stand firm, justice and right take root in Jacob. We will exalt Adonai our God and worship at his holy mountain, for our God Adonai is holy. We continue with the song Lechadodi on 123. If you need transliteration, 736. Lechadodi is a song that was written in Safed or Tzfat in the 16th century, greeting the Sabbath as a bride.
לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. 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 שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, ישמענו אל המאוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושמו תפארת ולתהילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי מקור הברכה, בראש מקדם נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת כלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
We continue with another song, Psalm 92. It's a special song for Shabbat. At the time of Bet HaMikdash, the Holy Temple, the Levites used to sing every day different psalms. So this is especially for Shabbat.
מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון. להגיד בבוקר חסדך, ואמונתך בלילות. עלי אסור ועלי נעלה, עלי היגיון וכינור. מזמור שיר ליום השבת, טוב להודות לאדוני, ולזמר לשמך עליון, ולזמר לשמך עליון.
Let us read at the bottom of 125 the meaning of these words that you just read. It is good to give thanks to the Lord, to sing hymns to your name, O Most High, to tell of your love in the morning, to sing at night of your faithfulness, to pluck the strings, to sound the lute, to make the heart vibrate. Wonderful. Thank you. We continue with the Chatzi Kaddish on 128. If you need transliteration from now on, you can keep your hand on 766 and go back and forth.
יתגדל ויתקדש שמי רבה, בעלמא תברח חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכם וביומכם ובחיי כל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב, ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך, לעולם ולעולמי עלמיא. יתברך יתברך וישתבח, ויתפאר ויתרומם ויתנשא, ויתהדר ויתעלה, ויתהלל לשם קודשא בריחו, לילה מן כובחתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, תמירם בעלמא, ואמרו אמן.
Yeah, before we continue, I just want to say to those who can't read Hebrew, don't understand, you can read the English paragraph under each one that we sing. Yeah, we continue. Please rise, everyone.
ברכו את אדוני המבורך, ברוך אדוני המבורך, לעולם ועד.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בדברו מעריב ערבים. Praise be the Lord our God, ruler of the universe, whose words bring on the evenings. His wisdom opens heaven's gates, his understanding makes the ages pass, and the seasons alternate. And his will controls the stars as they travel through the skies. Together, he is creator of day and night,
rolling light away from darkness, and darkness from light. He causes day to pass and brings on the night. He sets day and night apart. He is the Lord of hosts.
May the living and eternal God rule us always to the end of time. Blessed is the Lord, whose word makes evening fall. Unending is your love for your people, the house of Israel. Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts have you taught us. Therefore, O Lord our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and rejoice in your Torah and mitzvot forever. Together?
Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are a life and the length of our days. Then your love shall never depart from our hearts. Blessed is the Lord who loves his people Israel. Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Vaed.
Please be seated. We continue with the Behafta. If you need transliteration, 767.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך. והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך. ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשכבך ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובישעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אמת.
Back to 131, if you were not there. Be mindful of all my mitzvot and do them, so shall you consecrate yourself to your God. I, the Lord, am your God, who led you out of Egypt to be your God. I, the Lord, am your God. All this we hold to be true and sure. He alone is our God, there is none else, and we are Israel, his people. Together?
He is our king, he delivers us from us and makes us precious.
He does wonders without number, marvels that pass our understanding.
He gives us our life, by himself we survive, all who seek our destruction.
He did wonders for us in the land of Egypt, miracles and marvels in the land of Pharaoh.
Forever to serve in freedom.
When his children witnessed his power, they extolled him and gave him thanks. Freely they acclaimed him king, and full of joy, Moses and all Israel sang his song. Mi chamocha.
Mi kamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha nehar b'kodesh, Nora tehilot oseh peleh, Nora tehilot oseh peleh. מלכותך ובונך, בוקע יום לפני משה, זה אלי אנו ויאמרו, אדוני לא לעולם ועד, אדוני לא לעולם ועד.
133. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, ועמידנו מלכנו לחיים, ופרוס עלינו סוכת שלומך. Grant, O eternal God, that we may lie down in peace and raise us up, O sovereign, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel, and for your name's sake, be our help. Together, shield us from hatred and plague. Keep us from war and famine and anguish. Subdue our inclination to evil. O God, our guardian and helper, our gracious and merciful ruler, give us refuge in the shadows of your wings. O guard our coming and our going, that now and always we have life and peace. Blessed is the Lord, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, over all his people Israel, and over Jerusalem. We continue with the song Veshamru. You may find it on 769. It talks about the covenant between God and Israel to observe the seventh day.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם, ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם, לדורותם ברית עולם.
We continue with the Amidah, which means you have to stand up, so please rise. And if you need transliteration, 769.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid teilatecha. Eternal God, open my lips that my mouth may declare your glory. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu ve'Elohei Avotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzhak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanura, El Elyon, Gomel Hasadim Tovim, ve'Konei Hakol, וזוכר חסדי אבות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישועה, ונאמנת לחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש.
We bless God, the Holy God. Please be seated. We continue on 136. You set the seventh day apart for your service. It is the goal of creation, more blessed than other days, more sacred than other times, as we read in the story of creation together. Now the whole universe, sky, earth, and all their array was completed. With the seventh day, God ended his work of creation. On the seventh day, he rested with all his work completed. And God was the seventh day and called it holy, for with this day he had completed the work of God. We continue together, our God and God of ages past, may our rest on this day be pleasing in your sight. Sanctify us with your mitzvot, and let your Torah be our way of life. Satisfy us with your goodness, gladden us with your salvation, and purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, O Lord our God, let your holy Sabbath remain our heritage, that all Israel, hallowing your name, may find rest and peace. Blessed is the Lord for the Sabbath and its holiness. 137. רצה אדוני אלוהינו בעמך ישראל, ותפילתם באהבה תקבל. Be gracious, O Lord our God, to your people Israel, and receive our prayer with love. Oh, may our worship always be acceptable to you. Fill us with the knowledge that you are near to all who seek you in truth. Let our eyes behold your presence in the midst of our people in Zion. Blessed is the Lord, whose presence gives life to Zion and all Israel. We continue with a prayer of thanksgiving, even though we're far away from it. Together, we gratefully acknowledge that you are the Lord our God and God of our people, the God of all generations. You are the rock of our life, the power that shields us in every age. We thank you and sing your praises for our lives which are in your hands, for our souls which are in your keeping,
For the signs of your presence we encounter every day, and for your wondrous gifts at all times, morning, noon, and night. You are goodness, your mercies never end. You are compassion, your love will never fail. You have always been our hope.
For all these things, O sovereign God, let your name be forever exalted and blessed. O God, our Redeemer and Helper, let all who live affirm you and praise your name in truth. Lord, whose nature is goodness, we give you thanks and praise. We continue with a song for peace, Shalom Rav, on 140, please.
Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Ki atahu melech Adon lechol hashalom. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav al Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
O sovereign Lord of peace, let Israel, your people, know enduring peace. For it is good in your sight continually to bless Israel with your peace. Praise be the Lord who blesses his people Israel with peace. Please take a moment of silent prayer.
עושה שלום, עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו. עושה שלום, עושה שלום, שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה, שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו אמן, ועל כל ישראל, ואמרו amen.
So tonight we're still counting the Omer until next week when we celebrate Shavuot, the time that God gave us the Torah. Tonight is the 44th day out of 50. So next week, pretty soon, we'll celebrate. It's also Yom Yerushalayim, Jerusalem Day. It's very important. Today is Kafchet Iyar, the 28th of the month of Iyar, that the unification of Jerusalem after so many years that it was separated between Jordan and Israel. So on that day, the soldiers captured the Temple Mount, and I still remember how the chief of staff said out loud, "Har Habayit Be'adenu," means Temple Mount is in our hands. You know, as a child, I used to go visit my relatives in Jerusalem all the time, and they used to publish holy books, and they wrote holy books. So we used to go there, and I was always would always go to peek through the tin fans, you know, to see the soldiers, the Jordanian soldiers in Jerusalem. And once it was done, you know, we were the first to be there in Jerusalem, and the way to the Kotel, to the Western Wall, the sand was up to our knees, you know. Now it's completely different for those who've been there and saw it, but it was amazing. So I found some reading that I want to share, and we'll read it responsibly. It was written by a rabbi, Rabbi Jonathan Schnitzer, and I would like to offer it to you. The late afternoon sun cast its light, its glint over the stones of Jerusalem. The city of peace has become golden once more.
The cry of the muezzin echoes in the distance. Church bells tinkle softly. At the kotel, voices in prayer transcend time and history.
Jerusalem, sacred to three faiths, but utterly unique to us, to the Jewish people.
Here, 3,000 years ago, David, king of Israel, established his capital.
Here, Solomon built a temple to the Lord.
Here, Isaiah declared, the Torah will come forth from Zion and the word of God from Jerusalem.
Here, Babylonians, Greeks, Romans, Persians, Byzantines, Muslims, Crusaders, Ottomans, and Brits all triumphed.
But only the Jewish people remained in Jerusalem, always keeping it in mind and soul.
Wherever we went, Jerusalem followed us. Our synagogues faced Jerusalem. Under the wedding canopy, we remembered Jerusalem.
At the end of the Seder and at the end of Yom Kippur, we hoped next year in Jerusalem.
Today, how proud we should be of Jerusalem's vigor and vitality, ever renewing itself as the spiritual center of the Jewish people.
We welcome all those from the four corners of the globe who are finding in Jerusalem a refuge from oppression and hate.
As friends of Jerusalem, we commit ourselves to work for its progress and well-being.
Now, even in the midst of violence, may Jerusalem, the city of peace, become the model for living in mutual harmony and respect.
At the Kotel, the Wailing Wall, it is getting darker. The shadows lengthen, the colors deepen. Our tradition put it well. There is no beauty like the beauty of Jerusalem.
As we celebrate Yom Yerushalayim, may Jerusalem's special magic continue to touch our souls.
Pray for the peace of Jerusalem, and may those who love you also be at peace. Amen. Thank you. We continue with the Torah service, and tonight we're starting the book of Numbers. It's interesting how the names in English and in Hebrew don't connect, because in English, as we say, it's numbers, because the first thing they talk about the numbers of the Israelites who came out of Egypt. In Hebrew, we say Bamidbar, in the desert, because the whole book talks about the journey, but it really starts even before. It starts in the book of Exodus, after they exited Egypt. So a lot of the Torah talks about the journey in the desert. So we turn to page 417. Howard, would you like to come join me, please?
Ein kamocha ba'Elohim Adonai, v'ein kema'asecha, malchutecha malchut kol olamim, u'memshaltecha b'chol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai imloch le'olam ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אהבה רחמים, היטיבה ברצונך את ציון. תבנה חומות ירושלים, תבנה חומות ירושלים. כי בך לבד פתחנו, מלך רם ונישא אדון עולמים.
עבודות לאלוהינו ותנו כבוד לתורה. Let us declare the greatness of God and give honor to the Torah.
כי מציון תצא תורה, כי מציון תצא תורה, ודבר אדוני מירושלים. ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, ברוך שנתן תורה תורה, לעמו ישראל בקדושתו. שמע ישראל, אדוני אלוהינו, אדוני אחד, אחד אלוהינו, גדול אדוננו, קדוש שמו. גדלו לאדוני איתי, ונרוממו שמו יחדיו. לך אדוני אל ידעו ואל ידעו והתפארת והנצח וההוד. כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, כי כל בשמיים ובארץ, לך אדוני הממלכה והמתנשא לכל ראש. רוממו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו והשתחוו להר קדשו. רוממו רוממו אדוני אלוהינו, והשתחוו והשתחוו להר קדשו. כי קדוש אדוני אלוהינו.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you very much. So for the Aliyah, I would like to ask Mr. Brown, Ken, please come over and offer. I'm just going to read a few verses from the beginning of the book of Deuteronomy, of Numbers, I'm sorry, I'm going too fast. יעמוד דוד אליעזר בן צבי לכבוד התורה.
ברוך הוא אדוני המבורך.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד.
ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר בחר בנו מכל העם.
האמין.
ונשא לנו את תורתו. ברוך אתה
אתה אדוני נותן התורה. אמן. וידבר אדוני אל משה במדבר סיני באוהל מועד באחד לחודש השני בשנה השנית לצאתם מארץ מצרים לאמור. So God spoke to Moses in the Sinai desert in the tent of meeting on the first day of the second month of the Exodus. It means 13 months from the time they got out of Egypt, and he says שאו את ראש כל עדת בני ישראל למשפחותם לבית אבותם במספר שמות כל זכר לגולגלותם בין 20 שנה ומעלה כל יוצא צבא בישראל תפקדו אותם לצבאותם אתה ואהרון ואיתכם יהיו איש איש למטה איש לראש בית אבותיו הוא. So what God told Moses to do, that Moses should pick up all the heads of the tribes and start the census, okay, to count all the males who are able over the age of 20 to get ready for the fight, because there will be wars when they get to the land of Israel. But later on, God said, but the tribe of Levites will not be included, because the tribe of Levites became the firstborn son of God, and they were dedicated to their work in the temple. You understand? So they could not work the land, they didn't get any inheritance of land, and they could not fight in any war. So their hands always were clean to serve God in the temple.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nasan לנו תורה סמס וחיי עולם נותן בסוכנו ברוך אתה אדוני נותן התורה.
Amen. Thank you, thank you. Please rise.
וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה.
Thank you. Please be seated. Thank you. We continue with the Haftarah. Haftarah comes from the prophets, and the message usually comes to complete and complement the message of the Torah. So the Haftarah tonight comes from Hosea, who lived in the 8th century before the Common Era. It was about 200 years before the temple was destroyed. He lived and preached in the northern kingdom, whose religious practices were against the will of God. So they worship Baal. Baal was the god, okay, because I'll come to it, and forgot the God of Israel. So Hosea himself married a prostitute who later betrayed him again and again against the will of God, and he had children with her. So her unfaithfulness becomes a metaphor for Israel's love affair with other gods. But God will be like a forgiving husband and will take back Israel if the people change their ways. The connection to the Torah now, the Torah tells of Israel's number in the wilderness, and the Haftarah begins with the promise that the people of Israel will be like the sand of the sea, not to be measured or counted. So when I read, you'll notice I will say some words like Ba'ali, Ishi. So he said, don't call me more Ba'ali, because my husband. Don't call me Ba'ali, like the word for my husband, because that reminds of the God, the Baal. So God doesn't want any association with that. So he said, call me Ishi, my man. So the last two verses that you will hear are recited in Jewish weddings as part of the ceremony to express justice, kindness, and faithfulness towards the bride. They are also recited when a person puts on tefillin and repeats those words 3 times to emphasize the extra strong marital bond with God, for the triple cord will not be easily broken. So I'm going to offer a few verses and you'll hear those words when I sing them. If you want to follow me with the blessings on page 420 or 773 if you wish. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bacha בנביאים טובים ורצה בדבריהם הנאמרים באמת. ברוך אתה אדוני הבוחר בתורה ובמשה עבדו ובישראל עמו ובנביאי האמת וצדק. אמן. והיה ביום ההוא נאום אדוני, תקראי אישי ולא תקראי לי עוד בעלי, והסירותי את שמות הבעלים מפיה ולא יזכרו עוד בשמם. וחרתי להם ברית ביום ההוא עם חיית השדה ועם עוף השמיים ורמס האדמה וקשת וחרב ומלחמה אשבור מן הארץ והשקפתיהם לבטח. והרסתיך לי לעולם והרסתיך לי בצדק ובמשפט ובחסד וברחמים. והרסתיך לי באמונה וידעת את אדוני. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, צור כל העולמים, צדיק בכל הדורות, האל הנאמן, האומר ועושה, המדבר ומקיים, שכל דבריו אמת וצדק. על התורה ועל העבודה ועל הנביאים ועל יום השבת הזה שנתת לנו אדוני אלוהינו, לקדושה ולמנוחה, לכבוד ולתפארת. על הכל אדוני אלוהינו אנחנו מודים לך ומברכים אותך, יתברך שמך בפי כל חי תמיד לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. Amen. We continue with Mishaberach, a prayer for healing. So if you want anyone to be mentioned in this prayer that we offer as a community, please mention their names. If you're here, all of you are blessed, so I'm not going to mention you, okay?
Noreen Sass.
Mm-hmm.
Chazan Baruch Yosef Ben Shlomo.
Mm-hmm.
Michael P.
Mm-hmm. Okay, and I have a list. Sylvia Abramson, Audrey Baker, Paul Ennis, Sid Feldman, Lorna Fotino, Marshall Geiselman, Lisa Gilman, Linda Herod, Tina Joseph, Kelly Kozolski, Terry Krylov, Judy Kozul, Miriam Linkamer, Jacob Masuda, Bebs Meza, Lisa Grinman, Marty Rattenberg, Judith Steinberg, Judith Zubrikas, Jackie Levy, Carol Wiesel, Shula Nao, Seal and Michael Tristano, Rhonda Phillipsborn and her family, Joanne Christia, Richard Solberg, Antonia Goldblum, Sam Goldsmith, and Owen Goldsmith. Misha Berach.
Misheberach Avotenu Mekor HaBracha Limotenu. May the source of strength, who bless the ones before us, help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say, Amen. Misheberach imotenu Mekor HaBracha Lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
We now return the Torah to the Ark. We are on page 423. Please rise.
Odo Aretz V'Shamayim V'Yaret Eretz Le'avot Tila Levot Chasida Livnei Yisrael Amko. Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
424. The Torah of the Lord is perfect, reviving the soul.
The teaching of the Lord is sure, making wise the simple.
The precepts of the Lord are right, delighting the mind.
The mitzvah of the Lord is clear, giving light to the eyes.
The word of the Lord is pure, enduring forever.
The judgments of the Lord are true and altogether just.
Behold, the good doctrine has been given you. My Torah, do not forsake it. It is a tree of life to those who hold it fast, and all who cling to it find happiness. Its ways are ways of pleasantness, and all its paths are peace. Together, help us to return to you, O Lord.
Then truly shall we return. Renew our days as in the past. Etzayim lamachazikim ba v'tomchea me'usha derachea darkei noah v'chol netivotea shalom. Hashivenu Adonai Elecha Hashuvah Kadesh Kadesh Yameinu Kadesh Yameinu
Thank you. Please be seated. So, as I said, we talk a lot about the desert now, Bamidbar, remember. So the Jewish communities around the world have just begun the fourth book of the Torah, the book of Numbers. As I said, in Hebrew, we call it Bamidbar. I'm going to say it again so you'll know really the difference it means the desert. The book describes in detail the journey that the Israelites made in the desert for 40 years until they were ready to enter the promised land, the land of milk and honey. At the beginning of their journey, they received the Torah and entered the covenant with God. Out of the desert, with all its dangers, came the Torah, which is our proudest possessions and gives us as Jews its most authentic character. It also gives to all humanity the most valid promise of continuing creative distribution to the human understanding. That voice spoke in the desert. The Torah itself is the gift that comes from wilderness, said the rabbi. They taught us in the Talmud that in order to receive the Torah, you must first make yourself like the wilderness. What did that mean? What does this statement mean? First, think of what the rabbis really meant by the term wilderness. We must remember that the context is the Middle East. In other words, when the rabbis say wilderness, they mean the desert. And when we think of desert, we think of a place that is empty of cities and of human life. In other words, the authors of the Talmud meant that in order to receive the Torah, you must first empty your heart and mind. You must make yourself truly pure, open-minded, and open-hearted. Only when you are willing to have all ideas pass through you will you be able to truly accept the Torah. For the Torah is the gift to all human beings, but we first must be prepared to accept it. To the ancient Israelites, the desert was a place without borders and was free for all to pass through. But it also was a dangerous place, dangerous of being vulnerable to the unknown. So why was the Torah given in the desert? The Talmud says that the Torah was given in the desert to teach that we must consider ourselves open like the desert in order to learn the Torah. Just as the desert contains nothing but sand, so too the human body is composed of nothing but dust. And just as the desert was transformed into a holy place by the appearance of the divine presence, so too with human beings, they become a source of greatness if they allow their spirituality to dominate their actions. The philosopher Philo explains that the Torah was given in the wilderness because cities are filled with corruptions, luxury, idolatry, and other evils. For one to be pure and ready to receive the Torah, one must be separated from all bad habits of the city. Torah is a living thing. Israel received it in the desert, kept on moving, changing, and growing, and it grew with them. This Torah was meant for all nations when we are the light to all of them. So giving it in the desert shows no limits, and knowing its laws was necessary before the Israelites entered the land of Israel. In his book, Walking the Bible, by author Bruce Feiler, which I really recommend to read, it's a wonderful book, he ties together the desert and the Torah. Since the Torah was given in the open space of the desert, he asks, who preserves the Torah? And the answer is, he who makes himself like a desert, set apart from the world. Water becomes wisdom, food, salvation, and storms, poetry. The theme of going out into the desert repeats itself in three monotheistic religions. We know that Abraham, as a young boy, discovered the existence of God in his own desert. Moses, Jesus, Muhammad escaped to the desert and came back with a strong faith, different than before. The wilderness is seen as a place for spiritual transformation, where God and people come together, where people develop as individuals and as a nation. People go to the desert for truth and quiet, for the power that it offers. There is a reason that people who want to talk to God go to the desert. They can't see God, but they can feel His presence. These lessons about going off into the desert to find God, seem to provide us with one simple lesson. In order to make room for God, we must first empty our hearts and minds. If we are full of ourselves, then there can be no room for God. Growing up and learning how to be a good Jew is like walking in the desert. Attending religious school, attending services at the synagogue, celebrating Shabbat and holidays at home are the oases in the wilderness of life, where we fill our minds and souls with the Spirit of God, who gives us strength to continue our journey to our promised land. We must rely on God to save us from heat, from cold, from thirst, from danger, from failing and falling, as we make our journey in our own desert. Shabbat Shalom. Okay, Elizabeth?
Yes. Really interesting about the desert is where I first, when I was 11, at a Benedictine monastery of all places, is where my Jewish journey started, in the desert outside of Los Angeles. So you have to be open, and there it was. So, hi everyone. It's been a busy week here at Temple. We had our board meeting and our annual meeting, and we've got services tonight. Tomorrow we have our classes for our Hebrew,
Judaism 101.
Judaism 101.
And we're going to talk about Shabbat, the meaning of Shabbat, so be here.
And then in beginning Hebrew, we start on prayers. So that's really exciting for the class. It's been really fun. So if you already know your Hebrew and you want to join in and refresh and work on prayers, I don't know which one she's going to start on tomorrow, and we have some extra books if you don't have one. So
I'm going to surprise.
So then on Sunday, we have, of course, Shafrit and Torah study at 9 o'clock and 10 o'clock. And it's our last Sunday school of the year. Oh, I'm gonna miss the kids every Sunday until August 20th will be the first day of school for next season, for next session. And then after that, we have our first sisterhood gathering at 12:30 here for the ladies of Temple to bring a dairy dish. And if you want more information, please go to Sarah right now, and you can, or afterwards, and talk to Sarah more about it. She's in charge of that. You know that, John.
Talking about dairy dish on Wednesday, lunch and learn, we'll talk about Shavuot. So we'll stick to dairy.
And then we're going to continue with dairy, if that's not enough. On next Saturday, we're going to have Shavuot here at 10 o'clock. And I'll put out an email, for doing a dairy, cheesecake, whatever thing afterwards in the morning. Yeah, that's going to be really fun. So that will be next a week from tomorrow. We'll be doing Shavuot here, and Yizkor also with that. Then what else do we have? We have a CPR class. We have still some openings for the CPR class. So that is Sunday, June 4th at 1 o'clock here at Temple. This will be our fourth CPR class that we have done here, free of charge, but we need to have people to register. So contact Jonathan about that. And our directory, we're working on our directory. Jill and I are working on that. So if you have any changes, additions, corrections from last year, telephone numbers, whatever, please send an email to me with any corrections that you might have seen in this year's email. Yes.
Also, I sent an email and I asked the congregation to let us know about graduating students from high school, from college. We like to wish them well in the bulletin, and also the Federation wants this information.
Correct.
So, thank
Right. And last, do you want to talk about this, Howard? No. Okay. No. I am going to have a flyer out for everyone. We are going to kick off. Today is the first kickoff of our official Tree of Life fundraiser as Chaim. We have been donated a fundraising package for us to have. So everything proceeds come directly to Temple by buying a leaf on our beautiful tree. I'm going to have my computer up with the rendering, and it's going to be on that wall in the social hall, and we have 500 leaves. Each leaf will be $200, and you have 5 lines to inscribe on here, and it has some instructions. This I just did up today because I got the final dimensions of the leaf and stuff today, and we'll do like a more formal thing. I'll send out an email, but I'll have this out for you today that you can take home. And because we only have 2 to 3 weeks to get all of the leaves in that want to come in with when the tree is installed. So we can have already pre-inscribed leaves. So the push is now for the incentive is to have your leaf already on the tree when it arrives, is to buy now and have it then. We can always install more leaves at any time afterwards, but this way we have to take the leaf off and then send it off. It's in its own little acrylic case. The benefit of doing it now also is that we can also do it in Hebrew through the company that we're doing it with. To do it locally, to inscribe it, we may not get Hebrew on it. If you just do all English, that's fine. But if you want to include a name in Hebrew or something in Hebrew, we can get it done that way.
So one name on one leaf, is that what you're saying?
You can put whatever you want on here. You've got 5 lines. The second line is in big font. There's instructions on here. You know, there's and I have a space for every single letter that you can have on the leaf. The leaves are 2 by 4. So and they're all the same color. They're all gold, and it looks really, really pretty. When you see it, you'll get an idea of what it's like. Howard, did you have a question?
The other advantage if you buy a leaf now is we'll be able to keep families together as the tree goes out.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to have spaces and things of that nature. So if you do it all at once, then we'll be able to keep family leaves together. Otherwise, you maybe all over the tree.
Right. So it'll be easier for when we install to at least get groups together at the beginning, family groups.
This is like a history book of the
Right.
temple.
And this is for any, for B'nai Mitzvah, for births, for weddings, for just because, a celebration of just a celebration of life in honor of, you can pull together, if people want to come together and buy a leaf, that's perfectly okay. Or if you want to sponsor a leaf for someone who may not be able to afford a leaf, you can do that. And we can do it on PayPal. You can pay on PayPal, online, on our website, and also by check. However, what I need from everyone is your inscription as soon as possible, because if you pay by check, it may get there after we need the deadline. So I need it, and the instructions are on here of how to do that. And we can talk about this more afterwards for everyone at home watching. Look out for your emails, and we'll have more instructions on how to do that. I'll get that out on Sunday since it's Erev Shabbat. So
Thank you.
anything else? I think that is it. So,
Yes,
but this
think
is
Michael
exciting.
needs to talk about
Michael?
what he's going to show.
Oh, that's right. I'm sorry, Michael.
It's okay.
Nothing.
Well, first, thank you, Michael and Debbie, for the beautiful
Thank you.
music.
Thank you.
Yeah.
So when we get into the ONEG, get your refreshments, everything, sit down, visit for a while, and then I'm going to start showing a lecture series on archaeology in the Bible. It's one of the great courses, and it is presented by a National Geographic scholar of archaeology in the Bible. He's not Jewish, and sometimes he refers to years as BC, but that's okay. It's very interesting, and that's it. Hope you enjoy it.
We turn to page 615. Please rise for the Alenu.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ויוצר ראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות, שלא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל העונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפניהם מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד
Please remain standing. We turn to page 628 at the bottom. We recall the loved ones whom death has recently taken from us, those who died at this season in years past, and those whom we have taken into our hearts with our own. So tonight we remember Chet Baker, Karen Barta, Donna Goodman Burstein, Leo Brown, Rello Christia, Beatrice Ebersol, mother of Belinda Westman, Dorothy Ennis, Miriam Pfefferman, mother of my husband Bob, Ellen Gutenstein, mother of Howard Gutenstein, Hannah Kesner, wife of Mike Kesner, Fred Kobeck, Helen Langer, Louis Litz, Helen Masuda, Rachel Masuda, Blossom Mizell, Rose Miller, grandma of Mike Miller, Lillian Mushkatil, Nathan Resnick, Ray Resnick, Margalit Salman, my sister, Michael Patrick Tristano, Michael Vass, Florence Westman, mother of Steve Westman, Boris Kozlensko, Dorothy Rosenberg, David Silvert, Rabbi Morley Einstein, Matt Anzer, and George Zubrikas. The memories of all of them are with us. Our griefs and sympathies are mingled as we praise God and pray for the coming of God's kingdom. The Kaddish is on page 629. Please join me. גדל והתקדש שמי רבה, ועלמא דברה חירותי וימליך מלכותי, בחייכון וביומכון, ובחיי דכל בית ישראל, בעגלה ובזמן קריב ואמרו אמן. יהא שמי רבה מבורך לעולם ולעלמי עלמיה. רומם והתנשא, והתהדר והתעלה, על שמי דקודשה בריחו. לעילה מן כל ברכתה ושירתה, תושבחתה ונחמתה, דאמירן דלמה ואמרו אמן. יהא שלמה רבה מן שמיה, וחיים עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. עושה שלום במרומיו, הוא יעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל ואמרו אמן. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn and comfort to all who are bereaved, and let us say amen. Please be seated, and we turn to page 742 to a song that says, Ki Eshmera Shabbat. If I observe the Sabbath, if I keep the Sabbath, God will keep me. Remember, it was a covenant. 742. The melody is from Iraq.
Ki Eshmera Shabbat El Yishmereni, Ki Eshmera Shabbat El Yishmereni, Oti le'olamei beno uveni, Oti le'olamei השבת אל ישמרני, כי אשמר השבת אל ישמרני.
Shabbat Shalom. Please join us for the Kiddush. Thank you so much.